Welcome back to Salesforce today at Agentforce World Tour New York. Big Apple, big show. I'm Kerry Chow. We just heard how to become an Agentforce company and how Agentforce is creating so many new opportunities to empower companies. And hey, we're in New York, right? So let's do a little baby David Letterman. I've got your top 3, not a top 10, but top 3 takeaways from the main keynote. Number 1. With Agentforce, any company can deliver digital labor with an open, deeply unified platform for agents, apps, and data. 2, Data Cloud enables you to activate all of your enterprise data from any application or warehouse and put it to better use. And 3, Agentforce accelerates time to value and unlocks digital labor for your industry with more than 100 industry-specific AI features, including the new Agentforce for financial services and Agentforce for life sciences, which you will hear more about coming up. So, all right, all of that sounds awesome, but let's break it down, and answer the question we all want to know in very basic layman's terms: how do I make the most out of my Salesforce investment, huh? Well, to do that, I am joined by Carolyn Bathauer, Senior Product Evangelist, and Jillian Bruce, Senior Director of Developer Marketing. So, listen, y'all, Agentforce features sound amazing, right? But how do people actually get the most out of Agentforce? What do they need to do, Carolyn?
Well, you hear it all the time that it all starts with data, plus it's built on the platform you know and love. So when you combine those two things, it's absolutely amazing. And we also have to talk about meeting the moment. I think as business shifts and changes and things that are beyond your control are changing your own business, having the ability to have a flexible platform that helps you retool versus rebuild is really important, especially right now.
Absolutely.
Well, and really how you get the most out of Agentforce is you have to get the most out of your customer 360. So whether you're using sales, service, marketing, that Agentforce is a new layered element across the platform to really deliver that agentic AI capability to your existing Salesforce implementation. So one of the most powerful ways that I like to see Agentforce come to life, of course, is in Slack, because it's really where everyone's already working. So if you want to deliver Agentforce and agentic productivity to your employees, you put it in Slack, right? You really layer that element right in there.
I love that. We're going to get into this a lot throughout the day, but what are some agent use case examples that maybe excite you the most, or even that you've experienced, Carolyn?
Yeah, I think when I'm talking to customers, one of the most exciting things is how they're working backwards. So we talk about the data as the foundation, but essentially you want to start with understanding what do you want that agent to do, and then looking at all of the things that a person would have to have access to in order to do that. And then Data Cloud helps you pull all of those things together to help that agent take action. So one of the most exciting ones that I've heard recently is 1-800-ACCOUNTANT. So you think about busy tax season, we just went through it, and they would get thousands of questions, very basic questions. Where's my refund? Things like that. And so imagine being able to have an agent answer those questions with a customer's actual data. Now you're freeing up all of your employees to answer the more complicated questions around tax savings, procedures, and things like that. So, saving thousands of hours on those basic questions. So it can be basic and it can be complex. And then if you need something out of box, we have that too. So it's just based on where someone is on their journey, but 1-800-ACCOUNTANT was one of my favorite ones.
I love that.
Well, we've actually been doing hackathons. I know I am developer marketing, so I'm going to talk about our developers. But we've been doing Agentforce hackathons actually since November. So I think we actually started here in New York City in November with our first one. And then just a few weeks ago, we were in Bangalore doing another hackathon. And just seeing the use cases that people have come up with has been really, really fascinating. We've seen across every industry, right, from retail to financial services to healthcare. And we've seen agents that are doing some really innovative things. So things like optimizing ambulance logistics, things like processing loan applications and credit applications. Even there's a team who actually won the best use of Slack that actually did a concierge agent to help an entire team book reservations, book team activities right there in the context of where they're working. So there is really an endless possibility of things that you can build with Agentforce and deliver this, again, this proactive AI element to how you're getting work done.
And this is where the community is so important, because you mentioned, they're building things that make an impact for their business. So when you're starting thinking about building agents, you have to understand, what do we want this to do? So actually building an agent is very simple, but you have to spend the majority of your time thinking through that use case and outlining where that data lives, and then the guardrails you want to put on. And so that's the part that takes the investment from a people perspective. And I think it's important because you've seen in the hackathons, they can build things really fast, but it's all because they understand the business and what they're looking to do first. And so you got to spend the time doing that.
That's a great point. I want to go back to the customer 360, if you will, because one of the things we talk about this swivel chair mentality, and we're in a swivel chair and be like, whee! Like, I don't want to be doing stuff over here. I don't want to be doing stuff over here. I'm being very physical on this. And but the key is, like, we take this in our marketing terms, anti-swivel chair mentality, right? We don't want to keep going all the way. We want to do everything right here. And Jillian, that obviously talks about Slack right there, because everyone is always in Slack. So how does Slack put agents into the flow of work?
Well, unfortunately, it's not as fun as doing this. We're trying to take that out of it. But you really said it. Everyone is already in Slack, right? It's where people are getting work done. So if you are going to be building agents to help your business run smoother and more efficient, you're gonna want to put that agent in Slack, because that's where people are at. And we have a ton of really great examples of some companies who are already doing this. For example, we've got Mimit Healthcare, which is a Chicago-based physician group. They use Agentforce, Health Cloud, and Slack to handle really complicated medical referrals processes in just seconds. That used to involve multiple experts and so many manual steps. We've also got EasyCater. You mentioned 1-800-Accountant. EasyCater is also very, very busy. They serve millions of customers and have over 100,000 restaurants worldwide. They use Agentforce and Slack to resolve support issues in cases that used to take almost 20 minutes of human agent time are now resolved autonomously by Agentforce. And one of my favorite partners at Slack, they're a very huge advocate for Slack, Slalom. They already are huge Slack users. They use Workflow Builder to help automate. They unlock over $500,000 productivity in annual revenue with existing automation. But now they're taking Agentforce and layering that on top of that to really take proactive action instead of waiting for triggers to cue those processes. They've also built an agent, a knowledge agent, for one of their own customers called Touch Bistro Restaurant Management POS system. And that has really drastically improved their support process. And then finally, we have to talk about what we're doing here at Salesforce, right? So we are using Agentforce and Slack for a lot of things, everything from scheduling meetings or code reviews. But I think my favorite story is how our IT department has really used Agentforce to deliver incredible productivity. So just in the last 2 months alone, Agentforce has handled 7,000 tickets and resolved 2,000 of them autonomously, improving the resolution rate from 9 to 30%. Huge productivity gains. And all of these examples really demonstrate the value you can get from building with Agentforce and Slack. And it's just the beginning. This is really just the start of all the stories that are being built right now with Agentforce.
I love those examples, especially of us putting our money where our mouth is and using it ourselves as customer zero. Let's hear more about how Agentforce accelerates faster time to value in this keynote highlight.
You need more than just the LLM. You're going to need a reasoning engine that pulls in the right data at the right time, that uses logic and reasoning to make a plan and take action. And you can get all of these pieces from different vendors, and you can wire all of this up and maintain it, but we've done that for you. We've built a single unified platform with trust embedded in it. So you have the security, the governance, the compliance, the guardrails that you need to roll this out in your enterprise. And of course, it's open at every layer of the stack. We call this platform Agentforce. It brings together your data, your customer 360, and the ability for agents to act across your organization.
All right, so we've outlined the amazing features and innovations, but how do customers get started? So say I've already invested in Salesforce and I'm over here. How do I get to Agentforce over here? I've done step one, right? I've invested in Salesforce. What's next? What are my actual steps here?
Yeah, so what changed it for me was getting hands-on. So I went through and became an Agentforce innovator, right? This is where you can actually start to see what an agent can do, what it can't do, what it should do, what it shouldn't do. And then thinking about that data piece and where does all my data live? then you connect it, and then you can take action. So those are very simple steps. But if you're unsure of where to get started, but you're excited about it, we have out-of-box solutions, including hundreds of pre-built industry solutions. And that way you can start without all the pressure and then start thinking through to the big picture.
Well, and it's thinking about that use case, right? You know, I'm going to keep talking about Slack because I'm a little bit of a Slack fan.
Okay.
But if you're really thinking about how to help your workforce take action quicker, you want to give that proactive agentic capability to them. And that's where Agentforce and Slack really shines, because not only can you build your agent and you can actually pull from Slack data, it can take actions based on things happening in Slack, but you can put that agent in Slack. And so you can interact with that agent just the same way you'd interact with any one of your teammates in a channel. And so it can also do things like communicate with other people and create and update records, send customers notifications. And that's just a little tiny bit of all of the things that these agents can do. But it's really a way that you can provide insights quicker, you can provide proactive action quicker. It's just, and it's so much more than just prompt engineering, right? It's thinking about that full use case. What kind of digital labor do you want to build and create?
Yeah. What about when it comes to, like, everyone has different use cases, right? To your point, when it comes to that customization and configuration, how do we make that so much easier?
Yeah, this is just who we are. You know, we have low-code tools, we have no-code tools, we have pro-code tools. So whatever your comfort level is, we're building that right into Agentforce as well. So we've got those out-of-the-box solutions. You can configure those, so it's just a little bit of a tweak to make sure it matches your process, or you can build them straight from scratch. And then, like Jillian said, it's where do you put them to maximize the impact that your employees are seeing by using them?
Yeah.
And we have gone so fast on this technology from, you know, using it in our daily lives, and I think that people are starting to expect to use it in their work lives because you see how much more productive you can be booking trips, like just little things that make my life easier. Now I use it to make my work life easier, and it's a great situation. So,
Jillian, it just seems like I don't want to state this, but we're building like the future of software development here.
We really are. I mean, it's really, the entire industry is changing right now. You know, my developers, I love them, but their jobs are changing, right? It's no longer just how much code can you write, how are you going to hard code this stuff in. You're actually using natural language now to build software.
Yeah.
And it's totally fundamentally changing how we build. It's also changing how we think about what we build, right? Instead of just building a functionality that's going to be triggered off of something, or we're building like what this is layout going to look like, you're literally building an agent, right? A digital labor force that is going to be doing work for you. So it's thinking about architecture in a different way. It's thinking about building in a whole different light.
If I were to say, for both of you, real quickly, what's the one big thing that people need to know about when it comes to Agentforce and work efficiency, what would you say?
you just have to get started,
Yep.
right? Like, once you get started, you can make those tweaks. This is one of those pieces of technology where you're always iterating. So if you get started quicker, you can get to the end result quicker. So just making sure you're having a conversation with the business, understanding what are those things that everybody does in volume, and those are the easiest use cases to start with. I promise your employees will thank you when you take that off their plate.
Yeah, start small. Start with a simple agent, start with something out of the box, but start now. You don't want to wait, because if you wait, you will be left behind. Like, we got to go now, guys. It's time.
I love all this. And you know what I'm taking away from this? When it comes to AI and CRM, I'm thinking of actually rapper Kendrick Lamar, because the rest of the competition, they not like us. They not like us. Carolyn, Jillian, thanks y'all so much for the insights, as always, and providing us with so much valuable knowledge that we can use.
Anytime.